All right, what's up, guys? So I got to compete in my first strongman competition last weekend, and man, first off, it was a blast. It was the coolest thing that I have got to do in a while. It was challenging, it was fun, but it was also, man, it was something I was prepared for, and so it was great. And so what I'm doing here is I'm really just going to kind of walk through the videos. We had 5 events that we did, and I want to walk through them because part of it is just for me to continually learn more about myself, to make sure I'm doing things right and learn these movements and what was my mentality going into something and how was I feeling. I mean, you got to remember, I'm a type 1 diabetic, right? So I'm paying attention to blood sugars throughout all of these things. I'm trying to compete. I'm trying to get some caffeine in me, and I'm trying to do these different things that would hopefully help me peak on this day to be the strongest and fastest that I could possibly be. So I'm going to kind of cycle over that while it's still fresh in my mind. Now, first things first, we had 5 events, all right? So we had a press medley, then we had a deadlift, we had a yoke run, we had a Denny Stone run, walk, whatever you want to call it, and then we had a keg over bar, okay? And I'll explain each of those as we come to them on the videos. But the big thing to understand is I came into this thing, I felt prepared. Me and my coach, we felt confident. I had been training with him for about 7 months now, and we were fairly confident that I would do good. We didn't know exactly how it was going to roll out. It depended on how I was feeling that day or leading into it. If depended on who actually showed up in that novice category with myself to compete. And so we thought we had a good shot at it. So this first event that we're going to look at, this is a press medley, okay? Now, the press medley, it's a sandbag that's 200 pounds. It's a barbell that's 255 pounds. And then it's an axle bar, which is 255 pounds, okay? And the axle bar's thicker. And it's a from ground to overhead, basically however you need to do it, and it's for time. So as soon as they yell go, is the first one to complete the movements wins, or however it works. So when we're watching this here, start playing it. So the sandbag was super simple. I was very prepared for the sandbag. I felt it did take me a second longer than normal to stabilize myself, and that was nerves, all right? This was, you felt thrown into this setup the first time. It was my first event, and you know, they did great at explaining things, but I still didn't know. This axle bar right here, this is where I fumbled a little bit. Now, when I say I fumbled, the axle bar that I was training on at my gym, at the Dirty Gym, has knurls all the way across, meaning if it put it on my shirt, on my belly, like you saw me doing that clip up there, it grips the shirt, and my hands grip to it, and everything holds really tight. And so it's easier, in my opinion, to move my hands over, to move the barbell up, to get a little more momentum. This axle that you saw me do that movement on was a smooth axle bar. There was no knurling on it at all, which I had not ever trained with before. So what I should have done, hindsight 2020, right? What I should have done was chalked on my stomach right where it was going to land, and maybe even the chest as well. The first time you saw me slip off the stomach and the chest a little bit, that's where I made the majority of my mistake. Now, you also saw towards the end of that, I got it up and then I had to like push through it a little bit. That's just part of it. That was nerves. I was moving a little quicker than I should have, but we got it done. I came in first in that event, and so I felt confident in what I was going into. But for real, that first event was nerve-wracking. I mean, they did this is a Kentucky Strength Farm in E-Town, Kentucky. They did an amazing job putting this event on, and they explained everything, at least to a novice, to a guy who's been there for the first time. I haven't done it before. It seemed like it was super solid. They explained everything. They were very aware. They were clear with instructions. But man, that the event, like you knew it was coming up, and then you're up, and then you're just like, go. And like, mentally, I was like, oh crap, like game on, okay, go. So I'm glad that it turned out the way that it did, but man, was that nerve wracking. Okay. So between the events, there was quite a bit of time, and that was a good bit of time to rest, to if you needed to eat something. I mean, this event lasted from, I think, 10 a.m. is when it started till about 3:30 p.m. for just 5 events. Now, there was, I think, 50 plus athletes there in different classes, men and women. And so there was a lot that was involved. Obviously, there was some warm up that was involved and different things like that. But there was a good bit of time. Like I didn't feel rushed. I did talk to some of the other athletes that were competing that had been doing this for a while. And even they said that, yeah, this was not a rushed competition. They took their time, and in their opinion, they did it to where people were able to be as capable and ready for their event as possible. Okay. So this next event we're going to look at, this is the deadlift, which looks super cool. So it is on the axle barbell, or on the axle. It's not a barbell. It's on the axle. So it's a thicker bar. So a barbell, it's like this thick. The axle is like this thick. And so you'll see that I'm using some straps to hold on to that thing. Now, this is 550 pounds. In training, Coach and I think we both kind of agree that we thought it would have been great if I had like 3 or 4 reps. At 550 pounds, it is a 15-inch pickup. That means it's 15 inches off the ground, where the normal barbell might be like 6 or 7 or something like that. And so it's a little bit easier than a regular deadlift, but it's still a lot of weight. Plus, you're using the axle bar, which makes it a little more difficult. So it was a lot of fun. This one, I think I ended up getting 9 repetitions on it. Now, you'll see a couple times where I kind of stumbled just a little bit. It wasn't too bad, just little stumbles here and there. But man, as soon as I picked it up for the first time, I felt so confident. Now, being that I came first in the first event, I was able to go last in this event. So I knew what I had to beat for the guy in front of me. And I think he completed 7 reps on the deadlift. So I knew I had to hit 8, but you'll see here in a little bit that this lady in front of me, my judge, she, multiple times in this whole competition, by the way, encouraged me to do more than just beat the person. Being that this was my first competition, being that this was the first time that I'd really gone out there, missed that rep, first time that I've really gone out there and done this myself, obviously, she encouraged me to do as much as I could. And I told Coach, and I'm telling everybody, I would have had to purposefully sack an event to lose these events. I was that prepared and I felt that confident. My body felt great. Now, I had some issues that day. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had some issues. My blood sugars had skyrocketed. Being a type 1 diabetic, that did fudge with me quite a bit on that day. The night before, which this never happens, but the night before, my blood sugars had gone from like the normal range up to like the 300s, which is just so, oh my goodness, it messes with your head and your body and everything. It felt terrible. The next morning, my blood sugars were okay when I woke up, and then they just skyrocketed again for some reason. And I knew it wasn't because of stress and nerves, because my life normally is stressful and nerve-wracking. I'm a real estate agent who operates multiple deals at a time, and I'm handling a lot of things, so stress is normal. And we knew that there was a problem. We had to figure it out. We ended up finding out it was the injection site. I had been putting in a certain spot in my stomach for an extended period of time. And as soon as I switched to another spot in my arm, almost immediately it corrected itself. So that was a little challenging, having to work around that for the whole competition for those days, but we made it work. So on the deadlift, man, I felt so confident and so proud of what I was able to pull. And honestly, that is just a really cool video. Okay. With the big tires on there and pulling 550 pounds for reps. That's just a freaking cool video. I thought it was great. So the next event that we got, this was the yoke run. Now, I'm going to pause it real quick. That yoke run, I was so ready for that yoke run. Like, out of all of these events, the yoke run is the one thing that I personally knew I was going to crush it. Now, the other athletes, they killed it. They did their absolute best, 100%. They gave everything they had. We had a couple complete it. Some didn't complete it in my class specifically. And I knew watching those guys go. I knew for no question that this was going to be my event. And I would never show their videos just to be like, look, I'm faster than them. But I wish you could have seen the difference in the speed, because when I pick this up, and you'll see that I pick it up, okay, here we'll play it. I pick it up, I go so fast, I lead forward too much, I drop it. So I have to re-pick up 650 pounds and then run it again. And man, I was so hyped afterwards, but I was also so pissed at myself because that event, I was fully expecting there was another athlete in a completely different weight class, lower than me, and he'd been doing it for a while. And I think he did his yoke run in the 6-second range. I think it was like 6.5 or something like that. And in my head, I was like, if I don't drop this, I can beat his time. And I think I ended up coming at like 9 seconds, 9 point something, because I dropped that yoke. And if I wouldn't drop that yoke, I think that I could have taken that time. But it was a blast, man. The 650-pound yoke moved well. I did slip up. I just leaned a little too far forward. I got a little too excited, and I was moving quick, which was great. And I kept, when you walk or you run, you kind of lean forward to help yourself move. Not with the yoke. You better stay straight up and keep those strides even. Learned my lesson there. Okay. The fourth event, this is the Denny stone carry. So we'll turn it on. So that was 240 pounds in my right hand, I believe, and then 200 in my left hand. This one was the only one that I came close to somebody else's time. I think I got 3.0 or not 3. It was like, I don't know what it was. Half a second. There's a half a second difference, maybe less, between me and the other guy. That was the only event that I came that close to. On every other event, I dominated the event. So I don't know what I did there. That was the first time. I mean, in warm-ups, I picked up like 45 pounds in each hand just to see what it felt like, and that was it. So this was the literally second time I had ever picked up Denny stones, and I just went for it. I think I did well for what it was. Actually, one of my competitors, right before I went, I asked him, I said, hey man, how should I be doing this? In your opinion, what do you do? And he had told me specifically to drop the bar into the fingers here so you're not ripping this off. And then partially you want to pull out and back so that it's behind you a little bit. That way you can move with your feet forward and hopefully not have them in your way too much. When I initially picked up those weights, I did not do what he said. I just ripped and grabbed. So I went completely full-handed and just started moving, but I lost balance really quick. And as soon as I lost the balance and they hit the ground, it almost accidentally, honestly, slipped into that position he told me to slip in. And once I felt it in my fingers, I said, okay, I know I can pick it up, so I'm not worried. So pull the shoulders back. And then you saw me complete that run fairly easily after that. So again, I think that was a solid event. Last event, the keg over bars, a 52-inch bar, I believe. This is a 275-pound keg. I had trained with sandbags prior to this, but had never picked up a keg until the moment that I walked up. So the time you see me touch this keg is the first time I've ever picked up a keg. And so this is where I believe that I'm a competitor when it comes to certain things, because I've never picked these up before. I was watching the other competitors in other weight classes do this, and there's this guy, same guy with the yoke, by the way. I watched how he would pick it up and kind of like let it float and swing and grab, and you'll see me do it here in a second. And I knew that if I wanted the most amount of repetitions in 60 seconds, because we had 60 seconds to do it, that is exactly what I was going to have to do. And so I was down to figure it out. So what you're going to see here as I play it is the first time I just make sure I get a rep. I got to feel how much it weighed, and you kind of saw it sit up there and then float. That's when in my head I was like, I got this. Now, second rep, you saw I tried to do the grab. I grabbed too low, rolled over, dropped it. So I just went for an easy pickup. The third time, boom, clicked in. I knew exactly where my hands had to hit. And you see that I'm able to start powering them out fairly easily. At that point, right there, you did see that the keg just dropped off, and they couldn't have got it back on very simply. So they had to pause the time, move it over really quick. That way it was in my zone so I could pick and push. And I think that I did phenomenal at this event. And again, I did take it. You'll actually see me pause at one point. I don't think this video actually shows the last one because everybody thought I was done, but I had more time, and my judge was like, dude, do one more. Like, you got the time and the energy. So I did pick it up to complete it one more time. But I was very happy overall with how this event and every event went. So right there, you see me kind of chill out like, oh, okay, I'm done. And okay, cool. So I do have it in this video. You see me hit my last one just because I can. I had already won at this point. I already knew the competition was mine. I took first place, and I was, very excited and very proud of how that went. So overall, competition was phenomenal. I had so much fun being there. I had so much fun meeting the people that were there. I appreciate, first off, Coach Bobby Thompson, my coach. Man, our calls that we get on a consistent basis, the training that he's been helping me with and my eating and everything, especially being a type 1 diabetic, man, it is challenging sometimes, a lot of times, to help a diabetic figure out how to eat properly, lift properly, move properly, run, and then go out and do life as you have to outside of strongman, which would be, for me, is my real estate or my wife or my dog or my family, my church, all of those things. So I appreciate, my coach who really has helped me walk that line very well since we started. And then also, man, huge shout out to Dan Ayers and Amber for even letting me know this was a thing. So Dan did compete with me, actually. He was in the same class. And Dan crushed it too. He did more than he thought he was going to do with what happened. I mean, I think we both blew our own expectations out of the water that day. So I'm very proud, excited, and thankful that they even had heard that this was happening and encouraged me to do it. And then, of course, my wife, man. My wife is so pregnant right now, y'all. Like, she is downstairs right now on the couch asleep, I'm pretty sure. We are down to the last 2 months. I think it's like the last 6 weeks, technically, before this baby shows up. And so 7 weeks before the baby shows up, she traveled with me to go to my first strongman competition. I am so thankful for her, and her support means the world to me when it came to this stuff and honestly where this is going to go, because this might have been my first, but this is not even close to where I'm going to end up when it comes to strongman. You guys are going to see me have a lot of fun in strongman for sure, but you're going to see me compete in strongman. You're going to see me be a competitor that's out there shooting for the top. I think it's going to be a blast. And here's the thing. I'm going to do it while still being a realtor. I'm still going to be a father. I'm still going to be a husband. I'm still going to be a member of my local church. I'm still going to be doing regular life. And you're going to see a lot of different aspects work into, and sometimes against, let's be honest, life is not perfect, hunky-dory, but you're going to see a lot of that stuff happen. And I'm really excited for it. I'm super excited for what's to come. So I appreciate it. If you enjoyed this today, hey, make sure you like it. Make sure you throw me a comment and say congrats even, right? This is my first event. Make me feel good about it. Doesn't mean that your comments really make that much of a difference whether you liked it or not. But hey, you know what? Go for it. I appreciate you guys. We'll be praying for you and looking forward to seeing you next time.